Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning back here again for another video review. This is Son of Liberty. So today we're going to be diving in and taking a closer look at Stoeger's STR 9mm compact. Now, if you guys aren't aware, I actually done a first video impression of the larger, bigger brother, the STR. Now, I was really impressed with the performance of that gun, especially at its price point. I believe that they really came out and introduced a firearm to the market that most anyone, depending on their budget, could afford. All right, guys, so full disclosure, Stoeger actually sent the STR compact out to me for review here on the channel. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you for this opportunity, because I love reviewing new products that have never been tested and evaluated here on the channel for you guys. Now, the model was actually sent to me for review is the one that comes with 3 back straps, 3 magazines, as well as tritium night sights. Now, I've got to tell you that when I first saw these, I immediately thought back to the first set of quality Trijicon night sights that I owned that actually had, again, the tritium inserts as well as the white dots, surrounding those inserts. There's so many night sights out on the market, but again, that is the first thing that came to mind, is that they do remind me of Trijicon night sights, which obviously are quality. These were, felt very identical to that. They are not my personal favorite, just because as I've aged, my vision is not as good as it used to be. I really like a high vis front sight. So again, for me, I like that. That contrast, especially to the rear sight. And again, that's just going to be personal preference. Next up, price point. The price point, I believe, is very reasonable for a gun that performed the way that this one did. The fact that it came with 3 magazines, night sights, it's got, a lot of different features that would traditionally cost extra. Again, at $549 is the MSRP for this thing. I believe that it's very reasonable. Obviously, you're going to be able to get it cheaper depending on where you shop at for your firearm needs. Again, that is the MSRP. All right, guys, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about the pros. Obviously, as I mentioned in the previous video, again, I'll make sure to post a link down in the video description to the larger brother. The front cocking serrations is something that I really appreciate. Now, this one obviously has the matching front cocking serrations as well as the matching rear serrations. Again, depending on how you're charging the gun, if you're slingshotting, the charging operation of the slide, or if you're just simply doing a press check, or if you want to manipulate the slide from the front end, obviously it just aids in that. This one per se doesn't necessarily have chamfering on the actual slide itself. But it has been rounded off, and so it's just a much more cleaner, aesthetically appeasing or a pleasing look to it, again, in my personal opinion, and so I kind of really like that. So another thing I want to mention is that if you are a Glock fan, then you are going to notice some absolute identical features of this particular platform against the Glock Generation 3. The reason I mention that is the Glock's Generation 3 patent has expired, and so there are multiple companies that are making platforms off of that that patent design just because it's proven to work. I honestly don't care if people believe that it is a ripoff of that. Once a patent expires, that's just the way that the world works, and that gives companies the ability to use that patent, especially something that is proven, like the Glock platform, to be able to introduce firearms into the market, which creates more competition, which helps drive prices down for you, the consumer. Now, one of the additional pros is obviously, in my opinion, the rail system. Now, obviously, this gives you the ability to add lasers, add subcompact weapon lights, and there are a multitude of different companies that are making small compact weapon lights for platforms such as this, so it shouldn't be hard for you to actually find something to accommodate and accessorize your firearm, but you may have some difficulty in regards to the holsters, so that's just something to keep in mind. Next up, in regards to the cons, I want to mention the magazines, okay? Now, this gun does come with 3 magazines in the particular options that I chose to test. So again, this one came with 3 magazines. These each hold 13 rounds. Now, even though I'm not a personal fan of the steel magazines, I do recognize that one of the benefits, traditionally speaking, for steel magazines is that they will traditionally slide in and out of the gun a lot easier. They're less likely to hang up, in my personal experience, over polymer mags. All right, that has just been my experience over the past decade. I am a Glock guy, so I run a lot of Glocks. And in that, as you guys will know, it has kind of like a polymer coating or plastic coating around the actual steel magazine itself, and sometimes those hang up, especially as they get dirty. One of the issues that I had, again, I don't know if it's the actual design of the gun itself or if it's a design in the actual magazine. But one of the things that I realized, at least it was with the majority of the magazines, at least 2 out of the 3 mags, if I depress this magazine once and then immediately let go, the magazines traditionally would hang up on me, okay? If I depressed the magazine and held it in until the magazine came completely out, generally the magazine would fall free. And let me show you another example. One of these magazines was, at least 9 out of 10 times, it would fall free no matter how I depressed the magazine release. The other ones were not the same. When I would depress the magazine just one time real quick, it would traditionally hang up on me. Let's see if this one will do it. It's kind of like when you take your car to the dealership or something and you're saying that it's got a problem, but you can't get it to duplicate it until you actually leave the parking lot, and then it starts making the noise again, right? So one of the things, again, I had issues with is when I would depress the magazine very quickly, just one time, I would have the magazine kind of hang up, as you guys can see here in the video footage.
All right, guys, so I wanted to take just a quick minute and give you guys an update on the magazines. So 2 of the 3 mags have started to accept the 13th round. However, the 3rd has not. Now, that is sometimes typical with magazines. When they're brand new from the factory, they're just really stiff. I know a lot of other YouTubers will actually preload their magazines the night before they do the review to actually loosen the springs up, which is actually not a bad idea. But I'm just giving you guys this feedback as it is directly out of the box. I wanted to give you guys basically a look at the trigger, show you the take up on it, the reset, and talk to you about how it feels. So it's a very short take up. Bam, I'm already at that wall. It is a pronounced wall, and it does have a crisp break, okay? Bam, it's very nice, loud, audible break. And then here is the reset. So again, just take up, very, very short, break, nice and audible, and then the reset. There we go. So this particular trigger, if you're an advanced shooter, you'll know what I'm talking about. This trigger doesn't, in the force that it puts against my finger to get me back to that wall so I'm prepped for the next shot, it's not really aggressive and it's not really light. It's kind of somewhere in between. Again, you more experienced shooters will know what I'm talking about. I would prefer that the pressure against my finger would be a little bit heavier and forceful to get me back to that wall and prep for that second shot. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and, as I do with all my first video impressions or first impressions, I do a limp wrist test just to see how this gun is going to react to newer shooters who haven't developed those that recoil mitigation techniques. The bigger brother did not do very well. It actually had a lot of malfunctions. But anyway, hopefully this one will not, but we are going to see. So here we go. This is the limp wrist test. I'm going to fire 3 rounds. Just relaxing my wrist and my grip. All right, no malfunction. All right.
All right, guys, so with all that being said, with the pros as well as the cons, would I actually recommend this to someone? I've actually got to say that I would. And the reason being is because that ultimately the only person that can make that decision if a firearm meets your personal standards for your own personal safety as well as your family is ultimately you. Now, this is not the first gun that I've ever tested that the mags have kind of hung up on me. Obviously, this is something that I am aware of, and again, this comes down into training. They don't hang up every single time, but it's just something that you should be aware of anyway, no matter what firearm that you're carrying for personal defense. Secondly, in regards to the magazines, this is not the first product or the first firearm that I've ever tested that the magazines were extremely intolerable during the loading process during the initial part of the testing. And then as the testing went on, the magazine springs got looser and we're able to accept all of the round capacity. And in this case, it went from 12 to 13 rounds. There was the exception of the one magazine that I was not able to get the 13th round. Obviously, that's something that I could reach out to Stoeger and just see if they could send me a replacement spring, and more than likely that would actually fix the issue. Again, I do feel like that there is way more pros to this particular firearm over the cons. I will say that I do have a soft spot for companies that are introducing very reliable firearms to the market, especially for ones that kind of fall into a price point that gives every working American the option to be able to buy something that's reliable for personal defense for themselves and their family. Again, you can get into one of these whether you want a compact in one magazine, one back strap, with night sights for around $3.99. Standard sights, which is what I had actually got here on the bigger brother. This one actually came in at $2.99. Those are very affordable prices, again, for that blue-collar, hardworking American that's really making it, from paycheck to paycheck, that will give them an option for personal defense. All right, guys, so that is going to conclude the video review of Stoeger's STR 9mm Compact. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. And again, I want to thank Stoeger for taking the opportunity to send this out for testing and evaluation. All right, guys. So if you are new here, I would love the opportunity to earn your subscription each and every review. And if you are a subscriber or have been supporting my channel since the beginning, I just want to say thank you. And for those who have reached out to me on Instagram with prayers and just words of encouragement from my most recent back surgery, I just want to say thank you. It does mean a lot to me, and I do read those. As far as procedures goes, it looks like I'll be having another one here in about 2 months. Probably a little bit longer of a recovery time, but I am filming during the kind of in-between process so that I can work on the editing during my recovery to bring you guys content here on the channel. And as always, guys, thank you so much for your continued support here on the channel. Till that next video, guys, take care. Be safe.